Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Well, it really appears that right now the walls of secrecy are starting to finally really crack. As we all know, the Schumer UFO amendment that was put forward by Senator Schumer and Senator Rounds is a bipartisan effort in the Senate. It was an amendment, the UAP Disclosure Act. It would be included in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024. That bill right now, or that legislation itself, that amendment, is facing opposition by some members of the House, some Republican members who receive a lot of campaign finance help from the defense contractors. We've been talking about this a lot, but as now this week it was expected that they were going to try to end this, take this legislation out of the National Defense Authorization Act for next year. But it hasn't happened as of this recording of this podcast. But as the big news yesterday was the fact that some other whistleblowers, we don't know who because they're anonymous, probably other than David Grush, people that aren't David Grush, they talked to the Daily Mail. And they said that the CIA has been using one of its secret offices for about 20 years now to retrieve extraterrestrial craft that had come down in one fashion or another, in one manner or another. Actually, here's the headline. It says, CIA's secret office has conducted UFO retrieval missions on at least 9 crash sites around the world, whistleblowers reveal. And the thing about this is that that's only since 2003. It's called this special office within the CIA, the Office of Global Access. It played a central role in collecting alien spacecraft since 2003. And then it also says at least 9 non-human craft have been recovered by the United States government, some wrecked from a crash and 2 completely intact. Now, the way I'm reading this article is that that's just since 2003, what these whistleblowers are saying that they know of, I guess. And it also says here the CIA has a system in place that can discern UFOs while they're still cloaked, and special military units are sent to salvage the wreckage, sources said. Now, the only issue with this whole article is the fact that, well, it's 3 anonymous sources, and there's no absolute end-all evidence. But I don't think that matters. I think that this is a warning shot being sent up in the sky by whistleblowers to the government, to the secret gatekeepers. That's what I think what you're seeing here. And this is an effort to, they want to see disclosure happen, and they don't want to see this Schumer amendment blocked, and they want to see it part of the National Defense Authorization Act. I believe that is what's happening, and that's why you're seeing this story in the Daily Mail yesterday. But anyway, let's go through this article because it's really fascinating. And you know what? I'm going to just say this before I even, when I saw the headline, I mean, to me, none of this is surprising. To anybody who's been studying UFOs, right, over decades, this isn't surprising that the CIA has a secret office that's been, working to obtain wrecked extraterrestrial craft. There's nothing surprising about this. We all know it. It's just that the rest of the world, most people, I believe, do not know that this is what's been going on behind the scenes, these clandestine operations. So I just want to point that out. I mean, this is not surprising to me at all. Anyway, it says here, a secretive CIA office has been coordinating the retrieval of crashed UFOs around the world for decades, multiple sources told Daily Mail. One source said that at least 9 apparent non-human craft have been recovered by the United States government, some wrecked from a crash and 2 completely intact. 3 sources briefed on those alleged top-secret operations told Daily Mail that the Office of Global Access, a wing of the Central Intelligence Agency's Science and Technology Directorate, has played a central role since 2003 in orchestrating the collection of what could be alien spacecraft. The 3 sources who spoke on condition of anonymity to avoid reprisals have all been briefed by individuals involved in those alleged UFO retrieval missions. Yeah, this reprisal nonsense is, that's one of the reasons that we have this whistleblower language from last year in the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act. That's one of the reasons for that. But people are still concerned about reprisals from these creeps operating behind the scenes to keep this a secret. We got to keep it a secret. For what purpose? Why are you keeping this a secret for so long? Anyway, though the shocking claims sound like they come from a science fiction novel, they are part of a growing body of evidence suggesting the United States government could indeed be hiding advanced vehicles that were not made by humans. Well, let me just stop there. It's not science fiction, of course. The growing body of evidence. This article, and to the people writing this article at the Daily Mail, this might all come as news to them. But however, if any of these people had picked up some books over the years, they would know that there was a clandestine operation ongoing for decades behind the scenes. I mean, there's documents that prove this kind of stuff. I mean, again, I always point out the two of my favorite books on this is UFOs and the National Security State by Richard Dolan, volume 1 and volume 2. Those two are like, I mean, he really puts a compendium together, a historical overview of everything that's been going on with the United States and UFOs since the 1940s, since 1942 all the way up until the early 90s. Now, at some point, he hopefully releases volume 3 because I can't wait to read that one. But I mean, if anybody in the press were to pick up those books and read them, or anybody, that you would know that, oh my God, this is there's no question about it. There's a giant concern by the governments of the world of the UFO issue. And they have been keeping things secret. You would know this. You would see documentation. You would see you would hear from all different people who are part of government. I mean, it's incredible. But once you read it, you realize, oh yeah, okay, it's not that incredible because it really is happening. It's reality. That's the reality of the situation. But anyway, it's great to see this article because again, this might prevent these Republicans, this little set of Republicans in the House from blocking this. But who knows? Maybe they don't care. Anyway, it says here the same month, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer sponsored an extraordinary bill to allow disclosure of recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence, which has now passed in the Senate. Sources who spoke to Daily Mail shed light on how the CIA has allegedly coordinated the secret recovery and storage of these alleged crashed or landed UFOs. There's at least 9 vehicles. There were different circumstances for different ones, one source briefed by UFO program insiders told Daily Mail. It has to do with the physical condition that they're in. If it crashes, there's a lot of damage done. Others, 2 of them, are completely intact. So we actually recovered through this CIA office, with the help of this CIA office, 9 craft, 2 of which were completely intact. I wonder, I wonder how something like that happens. Actually, I mean, how do these aliens just, stop land and to investigate something in the woods, and then the government finds it before they get back? Like, what's going on there, or is it a Trojan horse? It makes you wonder, well, how are we able to retrieve completely intact craft? What happened to the pilots? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, it says here, the source said the CIA has a system in place that can discern UFOs while they're cloaked, and that if the non-human craft land, crash, or are brought down to Earth, special military units are sent to try to salvage the wreckage. Well, that's very interesting. So, yeah, they do cloak themselves. They do have the ability to make themselves invisible, like many of us have suspected. I pretty much knew that. I believe that they do have the ability to make themselves invisible, based on an experience I had when I was in Hawaii back in 2007. So that's interesting, and they have a way to know if they're there, even if they're cloaked. That's really nice to know. I'm glad that our government's on top of this, even though they're not telling us the truth about it. And it's also interesting to see that these whistleblowers do know about the special military units that are sent out to salvage the wreckage. This kind of stuff was talked about before. There was the leak back in the early 90s of the Special Operations Manual for Majestic 12. I've talked about that on different podcasts, where it lays out exactly what these special teams are called, OPNAC groups. This was from a publication, from a top secret publication from the early 50s, I believe 1954, and then it was updated in 1957. And somebody took pictures of every page and sent them to a UFO investigator. Some people say that it's not true, but everything that all the research I've conducted on that Special Operations Manual shows that it was true. That there's no way that this could have been. It really doesn't make any sense that it was made up. I mean, it would have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars to to make something up, like to hoax something like this. I mean, it would have been ridiculous. If you ever have a chance, I'll leave the link in here for the Special Operations Manual. You should really check it out because it's really an eye opener. But this has been going on for years. Again, this isn't surprising to me. Yeah, of course they send out special military units. A lot of people who are in the UFO community have known this for a very long time now. But now the good part is it's starting to come out to the public, and maybe this is just the beginning, because if they don't include that legislation in this new NDAA, you might see more whistleblowers stepping up to the plate like they are here. And maybe one of them is going to have that end-all proof. And then we're going to have this, well, what people are calling catastrophic disclosure, where it's not a controlled disclosure, or it's not some slow disclosure that takes place over the course of many years, which I'm against in the first place. I'd rather an uncontrolled disclosure. I'd rather all of it out all at once. That doesn't make me right. That's how I feel, though. Anyway, continuing here, it says, another source with knowledge of the OGA's role said that they specialize in allowing the U.S. military to secretly access areas around the world where they would usually be denied, for example, behind enemy lines. They are basically a facilitator for people to get in and out of countries, the source said. They are very clever at being able to get anywhere in the world they want to. Multiple sources briefed on the OGA's activities told Daily Mail that most of its operations involve more conventional retrieval missions, such as stray nuclear weapons, down satellites, or adversaries' technology. I guess, let me just stop there. I guess that keeps them in practice for when the really important stuff comes down, like the extraterrestrial craft. But they claim some missions coordinated by the OGA have involved retrieval of UFOs. The task at hand is simply to get it into custody and protect the secrecy of it, one source said. The actual physical retrieval is by the military, but it's not kept under military control because they have to keep too many records. So they start moving it out fairly quickly into private hands. Okay, this is what we've been talking about. This is what I'm upset about. A lot of people who know that there's a cover-up ongoing this is the part that upsets everybody the most. It upsets me the most is the fact that, okay, our military, which we're paying for, tax dollars pay for our military, they get the stuff and they just give it away. They give it away to some defense contractor to study it. See, basically what's going on here is the people at the Pentagon, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has the ability to just say, you know what, this is top secret. This is what I think is what possibly is why this is able to stay covered up as it is that basically they're saying, well, this is too secretive. This is top secret. This is a threat to national security. So we need to keep this top secret. We can't tell anybody about it. We're going to look at this privately. We're going to send it over to these private contractors, have them look it over, and we're going to try to develop some weapons out of this, but we need to keep it top secret so nobody can know anything about the extraterrestrial presence because of this. That's probably what's been going on all these years. Because I don't know, I really don't know how anyone where this authority comes to keep the part that there's an extraterrestrial presence here secret. I don't know where who in the military, why people in the military think that they should have this kind of authority. It's absolutely absurd. It's the biggest discovery of all time. It's the biggest story of all time. Anyway, it says here, documents published by the National Archives and Records Administration in December 2016 showed that the OGA was one of 56 offices in the CIA, and its chief and deputy making up two of a total of 286 director-level officials in the spy agency. An unclassified organizational chart published by the CIA in October 2015 lists the OGA among 9 offices in the science and technology wing of the agency. Late CIA expert Jeffrey Rickelson wrote in a 2016 book on the agency that the OGA was established in 2003 and cited a CIA description that it integrates analysis, technology, and tradecraft to attack the most difficult targets and to provide worldwide collection capability. Well, that sounds right, doesn't it? Let me just stop there for a second. Worldwide collection capability. That sounds just like what these whistleblowers are telling us here. Yeah, if anything crashes, hey, we're the group that will get you in and get you out. We'll get you in to get the stuff, and we'll get you out with the stuff. Very interesting stuff. But again, none of it's surprising to me. It says here, a 255-word biography of former OGA Deputy Director Doug Wolf, published by an aerospace conference in 2017, says that he helped start the Office of Global Access. Wolf's bio cryptically adds that he was responsible for leading and managing strategic unwarned access programs, that deliver intelligence from the most challenging denied areas and served as program manager with responsibility for the end-to-end system acquisition of an innovative new source and method for the intelligence community, or IC. Two sources told Daily Mail that the OGA coordinates with special operations forces such as SEAL teams or Delta Force under the Pentagon's Joint Special Operations Command, or nuclear weapons experts such as the Nuclear Emergency Support Team, or NEST, to collect the crashed or landed debris. But another source, who was briefed by members of Congress on alleged crash retrievals, said that NEST had not been involved in any of these operations. Let me just stop there. So you have conflicting whistleblower stuff here, right? Or conflicting reports on what certain groups are part of and what they're not part of. But then again, it could be that NEST is part of it, right? But because it's so compartmentalized that people don't know what organization or what agencies involved. That's probably what it could be. It says a spokesman for the agency also denied involvement. NEST personnel encounter materials from unknown origins on a regular basis, a spokesperson said. In fact, one of NEST's missions is to help determine the origin of nuclear material interdicted outside of regulatory control or used in a nuclear device. During its operations, NEST has never encountered any material related to UAP. And I don't believe these people. I mean, when they're talking about anybody talking about UFOs from the government, when they said, "Well, we don't know anything about that." Oh, we don't know anything. Every time I hear that, right, I know that they're lying, and instantaneously they're lying in my mind because I know it's real, right, and I know that there's a cover-up. In a written statement, a JSOC spokesperson told Daily Mail, "We have nothing for you on this." Now, that's the Pentagon's Joint Special Operations Command. Okay, no, they got nothing. They got nothing either. Okay, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, we believe you. Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I believe you. No problem. Thanks a lot. Let's go on with our lives now. Yeah, you're telling the truth about this. Of course you are. Anyway, a former SEAL team member told Daily Mail that they have been on operations coordinated by the CIA to retrieve high-value stray enemy weapons, and that they knew of colleagues who had been on similar operations where they recovered technology that appeared highly advanced, though not necessarily out of this world. Absolutely, that happens, the ex-SEAL said. Even ordnance or a weapon that we've never seen, we recover and bring it back. One source said that the Air Force Special Operations Command's 24th Special Tactics Squadron, based at Pope Field Army Air Base in North Carolina, has also been involved in securing areas for UFO crash retrievals. Sources said the CIA office then often hands the wreckage or material over to private aerospace contractors for analysis, where it is not subject to rigorous government audits and can be shielded with protections for trade secrets. Yep, that's how they've been doing it. Yep, that's how they've been doing. Like Richard Dolan always says, legal illegalities. The CIA is the portfolio manager or owner of the UAP crash retrieval operation, one source who has shared their information with Congress told Daily Mail. The Department of Energy the Department of Energy, of course, has been involved in this for the whole time, too, as some of you know. It says here, the Department of Energy National Labs are materials analysis contractors whenever recovered radioisotopes are involved, but not always just radioisotope materials. The aerospace defense industry are also contractors that specifically do not handle any recovered radioisotopes, but they handle the other non-radioactive material and intact craft. That's what one source says. Multiple sources said that many of the people involved in these programs may not even realize they are dealing with non-human craft due to the intense security and compartmentalization of information in such top-secret programs. And then they're talking about that interview that David Grush, the whistleblower, had recently last week with Joe Rogan. And Grush there gave an example of engineers in the Manhattan project of the 1940s that they didn't even realize they were working on fuses for the atomic bomb that was later used to bomb Japan with. Late Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid told the New Yorker in 2021 that top defense company Lockheed Martin was one of the private contractors holding potentially alien wreckage. And he said that he heard that he was told for decades that Lockheed was doing that. And also Reid, he was a member of the Gang of Eight, a select group of top lawmakers given access to the country's most closely held secrets, too sensitive to share widely in Congress. But even he wasn't allowed to gain access to these programs. He said, here's what he said. I tried to get, as I recall, a classified approval by the Pentagon to have me go look at the stuff. They would not approve that. I don't know what all the numbers were, what kind of a classification it was, but they would not give that to me. Yeah. So now we know. I'm not going to read the rest of this article. Of course, I'm sure some of you probably have already checked it out. A lot of it's a rehash of things that we've already been talking about. But the bottom line is this, is that, yes, you have some whistleblowers talking about this Office of Global Access that's part of the CIA that's playing a role in recovering craft. And they've recovered, this office has helped to recover 9 craft, apparently, since 2003. How many craft do we have altogether? I mean, well, that number varies. I've heard between 12 and 60, or maybe even 100, over 100. I mean, we really don't have a number. I mean, the government has those numbers, and we get some information leaked to us, but we don't know what the exact number is, how many they've recovered. How many bodies do they have on ice? Grush has heard certain numbers, a dozen, whatever. Well, we would like to have, the public wants to know, though. We're tired of this charade. But another interesting article from The Hill yesterday, I thought was very good. It says here, the headline reads, and this was written by Marek von Rennenkamp, who he does a lot of really good opinion pieces on UFOs, and he wrote this one, and the headline reads, "Why are key Republicans resisting transparency on UFOs?" Now, of course, I've already answered that question here on this podcast. It's money. It's because they receive campaign funding from these defense contractors, and that's who they're doing the bidding of. That's why they want to kick that legislation, that language out of this NDAA for 2024. That's because of the money they received. They don't care. They're like puppets. That's what they are. They're puppets. We're talking here specifically Mike Turner, Mike Rogers, and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And also the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, he's in on it now too. They're all hell-bent on quashing this whole thing. And actually, Marek gets into all of this in this, but he was talking mostly about he puts out what their reasonings are for this, their public, what they say in public, why they're against this, and then he points out like how ridiculous their reasoning is, because that's really not the reasoning. The reasoning is it's all about the money. It says here, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but he says here, if there is nothing to hide and nothing to the UFO phenomenon, why would any member of Congress object to greater transparency and oversight of an executive branch prone to excessive and dangerous overclassification? Or perhaps there is something to hide. According to Schumer, a sweeping investigation led some in Congress to believe that the executive branch was concealing important information regarding UFOs over broad periods of time. Well, yeah. It's about time people in Congress start saying that, because that's what's been going on. A lot of us in the UFO community have been saying this for decades. And then it says here, this is corroborated by the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, who deemed a decorated whistleblower's assertion, David Grush, that the government inappropriately concealed UFO-related information from Congress credible and urgent. And also talks about Marco Rubio, the Republican senator who noted in extraordinary detail several high-level officials with top security clearances have told congressional investigators of the existence of surreptitious government UFO retrieval and reverse engineering programs. At the same time, 10 ex-government officials, military officers, and scientists have alleged or suggested publicly that the U.S. government has recovered at least one UFO. In light of these remarkable developments, the overarching objectives of the Schumer-led Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act are government transparency and the restoration of constitutionally mandated congressional oversight. Yeah, basically, there's no congressional oversight whatsoever over the UFO problem. That's really been for decades now. This has been handled completely secretly, completely privately by unelected officials for decades, and it's still ongoing. And there should be congressional oversight of these kind of things. There should be information that's provided to the public, but we're not getting that. Instead, we're told there's nothing to it, and if you saw a UFO, you're a crackpot, or maybe you were smoking dope or something. That's basically what's been going on for decades. And it says here, at the core, this new legislation establishes that all government UFO records carry a presumption of immediate disclosure. Any records deemed too sensitive for immediate release would be subject to review by this independent 9-member panel. Following a recommendation from the panel, the president would decide whether and when to release any such documents or records. So even though I'm not completely in agreement with, I mean, I'm sure that there's some other people who agree with me too, with this whole method of disclosing, the slow disclosure process, at least it's something. At least it's moving it in the right direction. So you have to be in favor of that. But to completely just shelve this, why? If there's nothing really here, right? Well, why shelve it? Why not let them do it? Why not? If this is all nonsense, if UFOs and all that stuff is all nonsense, and aliens, if this is all nonsense, then there's no harm in allowing this bill to pass either, when you think about it. But see, the reasons is because these people are puppets for the military-industrial complex, and that's why they want to kill it. But anyway, continuing here, it says, perhaps more importantly, this legislation's controlled disclosure campaign would require a benchmark-driven plan for the eventual public release of all UFO-related records or information, no matter how sensitive. Key Republicans appear to object on two grounds: the possible leak of classified information and the possibility that the review board would duplicate other government UFO efforts. Neither objection holds water, according to Marek. First, the proposed records review board would be composed of distinguished persons of high national professional reputation. Each, along with board staff, would be required to hold top security clearances. Second, the president will retain ultimate authority to release any record or information deemed too sensitive to release immediately. These safeguards make an inadvertent leak of classified information extremely unlikely. Now, let me just stop there. In a way, I'm going to tell you something. In a way, I wish there was some of these whistleblowers would just say, you know what, I'm not waiting. I'm letting this information out now, and I got some end-all evidence to go along with my commentary, with my comments on this. That's what I want. I just want it to end. I don't want to wait. I don't want to do this. I would rather everything come all out at once. Call it whatever you want. Catastrophic disclosure. I want the truth to come out and all in one shot. That's what I believe. I believe that's the way to do it. I know there are people out there who will disagree with that. They think it needs to be done slow to prepare people. But again, I've talked about this numerous times before. How many times? How many people? I just saw an interview with some woman, I think it was back in the 90s. She was in Australia, and she was abducted by aliens. She lost time. She had marks on her body. She never thought about this stuff before, never believed it. But here she was on some television program talking about her experiences because she thought it was important for people to know. But before it happened to her, she never even thought about it, never gave it a thought. Thought anybody who thought UFOs were real were crazy. But then she has her own experience. I think that's how this is going to be for a lot of people. Like these people who are we put in charge, they have this idea that everyone out there is a complete absolute idiot who's going to go scream panic in the streets when the truth drops. I don't think that's going to be the case. I just don't think it's going to be the case. Let it all out in one shot. That's what I say. I say, you know what? Let's end all this. Who cares about this arrow or this office, this UFO office? If we don't get disclosure right now by pulling the Band-Aid off, okay, I guess we need it, right? But I'd rather just pull the Band-Aid off right now. Screw them all. That's what I say. Screw them all. Come forward. How could anybody be in trouble? What kind of reprisals are you going to face? From who? If you come out publicly, they wouldn't dare go near you. They wouldn't dare screw with your life at that point, because everyone's going to be on the side of the person who comes out with the truth when it comes to this issue right here. Anyways, continue with this article. It says, more importantly, if key Republicans succeed in neutering or quashing the UAPDA in its entirety, they may inadvertently spur the leak of sensitive information that they ostensibly fear. Yeah, that's what I think is happening right now with that CIA article with those 3 whistleblowers talking to Daily Mail. Because I guess this is a warning. As I'm saying, I think it's a warning shot, saying, hey, if you want this language in the bill, then guess what? I guess we're just gonna have to do it on our own. I think that's what they're doing. In a way, like I said though, I'd rather them just do it on their own anyway. But that's just me. It doesn't make me right. As Representative Mike Gallagher, a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, stated recently, new protections enacted by Congress resulted in all sorts of whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork. These individuals, Gallagher said, are telling congressional investigators that they've been part of this or that UFO program, resulting in a variety of pretty intense conversations. Moreover, according to Senator Rubio, a lot of people are starting to edge towards coming forward, and we may hear and we here may be coming forward. Without this legislation's formal controlled disclosure framework, frustrated whistleblowers may feel compelled to leak sensitive UFO-related information, potentially resulting in a catastrophic or uncontrolled disclosure. See, that's again, I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of that. Of course, I'd rather see, of course, if nothing happens, I'd like to see everything continue as it is. I'd like to see this language, this UFO language, appear in the National Defense Authorization Act for 2024. But I would be perfectly fine. Actually, I'd be much more in favor of something just happening today, tomorrow, next week, right now. Get it over with. Bring it out. Give us the evidence. End this nonsense. The world needs to know. Separately, Republicans appeared to object to the UAPDA on the grounds that the proposed review board will be duplicative of the government's new UFO analysis office. For one, the office analyzes video and other data of UFO incidents reported by U.S. service members. Such work is categorically different from the transparency-focused mission of the UAPDA proposed review board. More importantly, as former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Christopher Mellon aptly noted, asking the government's UFO office to investigate allegations of illegality by the executive branch is akin to tasking intelligence agencies with investigating the Iran-Contra scandal. Yeah, this is another thing. How many people I've been talking about this on the podcast. Christopher Mellon's talking. Everybody's talking about it. It's so stupid the way they have it all set up. Basically, you're saying, okay, you do your own investigation. You put in your own person in charge of Arrow and to investigate this stuff. And the Pentagon's, really? You're going to let us do that? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. We select Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. It's so stupid. Think about it. Think about what's going on here. Right in front of us. Right in front of us. And everyone acts like all normal about it in Congress. Thanks a lot, Sean. What are we doing? I see obviously we are a bunch of idiots. Human race is a bunch of stupid, dumb dopes. I mean, basically, that's what it is. We're dumb. We watched this happen, right? They basically pulled the wool right in front of our eyes, right over our faces, and nobody really did anything, except for some people in the UFO community who are pointing this out. But the mainstream news, they're sitting back. They think everything's normal. An independent body with presidential imprimatur is far better suited to the task of enforcing transparency, especially if an agency refuses to release relevant information. Yes, of course, an independent body would certainly be better to head something like Arrow than one of their own. Moreover, any cost associated with the UAPDA's 9-member review board would be minimal in the context of the entire defense budget. Yeah, by the way, the United States defense budget is almost $1 trillion. And they keep, for years now, the Department of Defense keeps failing audits because they're not telling us where all their money is going. We have no idea. Ultimately, the dearth of sound objections to the bipartisan effort raises several questions about the motivations of the Republicans now seeking to halt the legislation. Some of the most forceful opposition to this amendment appears to come from Turner, chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Of note, Turner represents the congressional district that includes Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which features prominently and infamously in UFO history. Of course, I don't think it's, him being near Wright-Patterson, people pointing that out, that he's near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I don't know if that's the problem. The problem is that he's receiving money from the defense contractors for his campaigns. A lot of money. That's the problem. Not that he's living next door to Wright-Patterson. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but some people want to keep pointing that out. Anyway, it says here, as physicist and hedge fund director Eric Weinstein noted, if members of Congress were to make a hypothetical last-ditch effort to scuttle the disclosure of secret government UFO programs, he would have guessed that that a congressman from Turner's district would be involved. He would have guessed that a congressman from Turner's district would be involved. Well, again, I'm not sure if that's what that is. I don't know how anybody could really say that with certainty. I just don't know about that one. I think the certain part here is the money. It's always the money. The bottom line is the money. Moreover, with Republicans generally distrustful of government and seemingly natural ideological allies of any efforts to expose undue government secrecy, GOP opposition is particularly perplexing. But thanks largely to social media, citizen advocacy and engagement is surging. Polished, nuanced guides. See what here? The problem here, though, is the fact that he really doesn't get into the fact that they're receiving lots of money. These guys are receiving lots of money. That's what it comes. That's what the bottom line. He doesn't get into that here. Marek, you should have pointed it out. You should have had a link in there to open secrets, and that explains it all. There's the answer right there. What they're saying is not true at all. What these guys, it's what we know behind the scenes is that they're receiving money. They are receiving money, a lot of money, from the military-industrial complex for their campaigns. That's the reason. They're just puppets for the Pentagon. That's what's going on. Meanwhile, you have some whistleblowers starting to flap their lips, anonymously, but they're starting to talk about this Office of Global Access program. What's next? What are they going to say next? You might just have this This might be the beginning of a snowball effect now. Especially if this legislation gets shelved by these control group puppets. These control group puppets, if they have their way, then you're going to start seeing probably more articles like this CIA article from the Daily Mail, and maybe more leaks, and maybe there'll be some leak where it will become undeniable. That's what we could be looking at. I don't know what that could entail, what that evidence. I mean, one of these whistleblowers could step forward with some evidence. That would be a great day. That ends all of this debate. But that's maybe where we're heading if that legislation is shelved. If that language of the Schumer amendment is not included in the NDAA, that's what could happen here. So I guess we'll see. It's like a game where there's a game getting played right now. There's a game. It's a political game regarding UFOs. There's people who don't want us to know the truth. They think that they want to have complete control over this new narrative. They don't want people out there to know what's really going on in the world. They don't want to. They want them to live in this phony reality because they believe that they're special. This group of people, these secret gatekeepers, they've somehow they found themselves in these positions, right? Because they couldn't have been there their whole lives. And there was other people before them that were keeping the secret. Now they're in this position, and they think that they're better than us. They think they're better than you. They think they're better than everybody. And they think that they have, that they should be the only ones who knows the truth about the extraterrestrial presence. Obviously, that's what's going on at this point. And because of that they want power. They're power hungry. They're money hungry. It's all about power and weapons and destruction and just to be. They think they're better than you. They think their shit doesn't stink in their view, and they think your shit does stink. That's basically what the bottom line in all of this is. That's what it is. Your shit stinks, but theirs doesn't. I hope you understand. From their point of view, you're a stupid, idiotic jerk. You don't deserve to know the truth about this. The world doesn't deserve to know the truth about this. They deserve to know the truth about this. They think you're a freaking idiot. That's the bottom line. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. Until next time.